Hello, everybody. How's it going? We're here with a timeless reading. Before we get started, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with the highest good. I'm seeing some interesting energy the way that this is coming through. Can't wait to see the context for this. We're starting off with the Death card here. This is like something big that's going on here that has been like embraced now and can't be stopped at this point. Okay. This has to do with a relationship. To have the Death card and the Four of Wands, this can be a very big change in like a long-term relationship, something having to do with a marriage, something having to do with the dissolution of a marriage. It's kind of like having the Death card come out before something. It's basically like what you had been involved in before. When this process is through, it's going to look very different than how it had looked in the past. So there's like a major evolving that's happening. For some of you, this can be you're in the relationship with the same person, but the relationship is going to look different. For some of you, you're not going to be in the same relationship with the same person. This can mean, there's just a big change within a relationship for you. So any big stuff that can come through, it can be like marriage, divorce, baby, moving. I feel like we just talked about this recently. Somebody being sick, somebody healing from something. It's something that would feel like a big moment within one's life where it has like a significant impact on other things, and it all starts with like one person or both people within the relationship, within the dynamic. And so the like four walls around it end up changing because these people are changing. Like at least one or both of the people that are involved in this dynamic. It can be within a household as well. Trying to work together, but it's not working out. It's like we're trying to work here, we're trying to collaborate here, we're trying to communicate with one another, but there are just like so many differences at this point. This can be too like amidst how can we put this? The relationship isn't the same. So you may have been trying to like get back that old feeling or like get back to what was familiar or something like that. This is really reminding me of the energy that was coming through in the last reading. Sorry, I'm taking my shoes off over here. This is really reminding me of the energy within the last reading where it was like somebody was fighting tooth and nail trying to get something to stay the same, but it was changing and they couldn't stop it. They could like only prolong the process. And so now starting off with the Death card, this feels like a giving in to that. Like, okay, like things are changing. I'm surrendering to the change. Because with the Death card, it's unstoppable that this is going to happen. Like it's only inevitable because nothing lasts forever and everything is fleeting. And so there's like an embracing of this, and I'm seeing it's directly impacting a relationship or a commitment that you're involved in. For most of you, you're going to see this within a relationship of yours. And this is like the main relationship that you have, where like your livelihood is connected to another person, or it had been at least. And I'm seeing you be like trying to work things out with this person in the relationship, but Five of Wands is like it's not really working. This can be like you feel like the other person isn't receptive, or you keep having disagreements with them. Like you want to live your life one way, they want to live their life another way. You may be finding that it's incompatible at this point. I want to see what's up with this Five of Wands. Can be like the changes that both of you guys are going through, it's not compatible enough for the relationship. And also not wanting to see eye to eye. Having the Five of Wands and also the Five of Swords here, this is like nobody's gonna back down and there's not compromise, which is funny because it's ironic. And you wouldn't think that this would belong, because having the Three of Pentacles here, you would think that these would be people going into a situation and being like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and listen to you, and then when you're done talking, then it'll be my turn to talk, you know? It's like an actual collaboration where it's like I'll open myself up and be present and listen to you and what you have to say and try to see things from your point of view and see what I can learn from this, and vice versa, you know? That's what I see the Three of Pentacles, especially within this situation. It's like everybody just trying to work together, just seeing what we can do here. But Five of Wands is like we keep butting heads here. We keep getting into arguments. And then having the Five of Swords, this is like win at any cost, or it can be kind of like inconsiderate of another person's feelings, or just like somebody, you may be perceiving the other person as being selfish, or they're not hearing you out, or they're not being a good collaborator. Because Five of Swords is somebody that, like, Three of Pentacles is like, let's try to be team players here, but Five of Swords is like not a team player type of attitude. So somebody's in a space where it's like, oh, you're gonna argue with me, and it's that type of thing, then I'm just gonna shut down completely. Like, I'm gonna fold my arms and not listen to what you have to say here. Like that. It's like really having a major attitude. And you wouldn't expect that to be here because you see the Three of Pentacles. So it's like, okay, if we're trying to be team players and you're not acting like a team player, like, what are we even doing here? It's basically against like the entire point of what we're trying to accomplish. So it seems like somebody's very triggered and shutting down at this point. But maybe maybe this is also just something that it's always like this also. Like this always pops up. This can feel kind of like characteristic of this person. You guys both agree and are like, no, we're going to try to work things out this time. And then it's like the same thing ends up happening. You feel like they're not receptive. This can also be you being triggered. And then you're like, I don't want to work with this person anymore. It's like very stressful at this point, the way that somebody's attitude is, and it seems like it's consistent with like all the changes that are happening. Like you may be working with a partner that you feel is like a bit avoidant. It's like this person's attitude is even stressing them out, but they may not really know another way to do this. That's not to say like it's right or it's wrong or whatever. This is just their coping strategy. This is how they're showing up. By like not showing up in an effective communication style to try to get done what you're trying to get done here. Like it's not conducive for the goal. It also reminds me too of like, you know, when you start saying something and you're like in your head, you're like, wow, stop talking, stop saying that. I get it, like that kind of thing where like this person maybe like can't even help themselves at this point. Again, like not an excuse, not a right, not a wrong, but not conducive for what's trying to be done and happening here. And let's also like flip this on you and say this is your energy as well. Like, you may be finding the argument or the tension or the like not agreeing triggering. You may not like that you guys aren't agreeing on certain things, or that you feel certain things can't be agreed upon. and your triggers may be stressing you out. Like, you may be triggered that this person is getting triggered, you know? Like, Five of Swords is somebody that's kind of closing down within the heart space because they're like, I gotta watch my back because nobody else is gonna watch mine, you know? It's like that survival mode type of energy. And it's very hard to work with somebody in that space because, again, it's not like a team player sort of energy. So you could be doing this other person could be doing this, maybe you think they did it first, that triggered you, now you're doing it back to them, you know, and it's like two people trying to collaborate, and now we have closed off heart chakra, so nothing really is getting accomplished, and we're not hearing one another out either, because it's like, you better listen to me, like that type of energy, where it's like, well, if we don't do what I'm saying, I'm just gonna walk away from this, or like say whatever, you know. It's that type of attitude, like every man for himself. But I'm seeing that just be stressful because, like, well, how do we work with that? And for some of you, you're like working with a partner that's in that mentality. For some of you, you're working with a partner in that mentality. Now you're triggered, or you're just working with somebody that's in that space, working with yourself in that space. And that's a tricky thing to do, because Five of Swords says, I am not showing up in a collaborative energy. And how do you collaborate with someone that's not open in a collaborative energy? They're choosing not to be. And so it's like, how do we collaborate then? It's not really possible because this person isn't open to it. This person or both people at this point. But you may be trying to like make some sort of deal or agreement with them. For some of you, you're gonna have like somebody, I get like a counseling energy. You may have somebody come through to counsel or to negotiate or something like that. Yeah, like somebody that would be in the middle of this. Especially those of you that has like legal implications, because you may not be able to like make a deal on your own just between the two of you. You may need a third person to like be in the middle. Like, I get, again, a negotiating sort of energy. I will say this too, like, Five of Swords comes up because somebody is feeling triggered, like somebody feels unsafe. That's not anybody's fault or responsibility except for the person that's experiencing that. That's like for them and them to deal with. But just to say like where this is coming from, because of the changes that are happening within the dynamic, that's why this person is feeling triggered. And also, you guys, let's say it like this. Some people have a hard time when another person doesn't fully agree with them because they haven't learned how to have like healthy conflict and communicate through that. And so they see that as like a slight towards their ego, and that's why they're feeling triggered. It's like when two people have two different like communication styles, or they just like disagree on a topic, and somebody takes that disagreement personally, where it's like, oh, I just have a different opinion than you. It's like, okay, for both of us to have different opinions here, but this person is like really taking it personally. And so that's coming up, and then they're even like stressed out by their response, but their ego is like, I'm running the show now, and then there's like nothing they really feel they can do about it at that point. That's just how they're framing it. There's definitely like a reckoning of sorts that's happening here. But you could be trying to figure out like why this is feeling so difficult, challenging, stressful. But I'm seeing your guides be like, where you want to focus your energy is like the actual dynamic and what's taking place between you and this person. However, that may be the thing that you haven't been wanting to look at, because there may be some things that are meant to be recognized that you don't want to recognize right now. Maybe not feeling in the mood to do that, just because it's like hard to look at, because it may be something very different than how you want it to be. But I'm getting that once you do take a look, it just takes like one strong glance in the direction of this, like one moment looking at this under the microscope, and then I'm seeing things that hadn't been moving then move. What's interesting is that I'm seeing you be like, I want clarity, like I want to really understand this, I want to see the big picture, but I'm getting like all it takes is you actually truthfully looking at the dynamic for you to get that, but that may have, again, been the thing that you were avoiding looking at. Because it's bringing up stuff for you that's hard to look at. Because you may kind of look at this and be like, this isn't going to go anywhere. This may be feeling like a bit of a hopeless situation. And also, if you admit certain things that are happening, that means the like destabilization of this relationship. And that may also be something where you're like, I'd rather it be like this than me admit that like this isn't going to work, something like that. It's like there are definitely fears that this brings up for you, and it makes sense why you wouldn't have wanted to look at what's going, like unearthed what's really going on within the dynamic and look at it truthfully and honestly. Like I can see why and what that's bringing up for you and why that may have been very much avoided here. It also seems to like a lot of shadow energy is being brought into the dynamic with you and this person, and it seems like on both sides. And when I say shadow, I mean there's no bad or good when we talk about the shadow. The shadow just means subconscious energy that until we're aware of it, it affects our decisions and our thinking in ways that we don't realize. And so our light energy is our awareness, our consciousness, our understanding, our enlightenment. So it just means like the things that we do see, that's why it's called light. It's like the things that you shine a flashlight on, you can see clearly, and the things that are in the dark, you can't. So you bump around and bang into things. And so it just like creates further obstacles for you because you can't really see where you're going. I'm hearing chain reaction with the Judgment card. I get it, like, as soon as you look at this, you may see something that you don't want to see, or you may recognize something that you don't want to recognize, and that's, like, really what feels like the issue here, and, like, why this has been being avoided. Because having Judgment, Eight of Wands, and the Five of Pentacles, it's like, as soon as I look at that, I see something that I don't want to see, and then I feel awful about it, because I know that this isn't going to work, or I'm, like, admitting to myself, being honest with myself that, like, this person is not trying to work things out, or they're not open to collaborating, even though they're saying they are. The way that they're showing up is not conducive to a collaboration, and so it's like actually really not working. But you may not be ready to leave this yet. You may not be willing to leave this yet. You may not be willing to admit that this You may not be willing to admit that you're not going to find what you hoped for and wanted to find here within the dynamic with this person. Like, you may have wanted it to be otherwise, and like, you may not be ready to let go, willing. I want to come back to saying willing. You may not be willing to like let go of the fantasy. And that's why it's hard to like actually look at this honestly. It reminds me of that saying, it's like the truth isn't hidden for those who are like seeing through eyes that are unclouded by desire. It's something along the lines of that. It's like when you really want the truth and you want to see what's actually going on, and you drop all of your preferences and you're like, I want the truth above all. Like, if I want that most, that's what you're going to see here. But you may be wanting a fantasy over the truth, and that's why you're still having a hard time admitting, because of like all the things that would then mean for you and bring up for you. I'm seeing you even, it's like you look at something and you move very quickly into a spot where you're like, this doesn't feel good. And then I'm seeing you actually are looking at an opportunity, but it's from a space where you feel like you may be really low, and I'm seeing you be handed something. It's like when somebody's in a terrible position, they perceive themselves to be in a terrible position. And so anything that's extended to them, even if it's like going to make them worse off, they're going to grab hold of it. And I'm seeing actually something like that happening here. So be mindful of where you're perceiving yourself to be, because somebody may actually see you in a spot where you're not doing well or where you're struggling in some sort of way and actually take advantage of that. Or like, I don't know if this feels like a little bit potentially manipulative, we can say. Like, somebody may be looking at you in a position where you're not feeling great about something or feeling like desperate. This is what I'm getting. I'm seeing you in a desperate energy, and somebody sees you within that energy and is like, they'll take any sort of deal. Like, I'm seeing something like that. Because you're like, I don't want to be fighting anymore. So they're like, okay, I'll make a deal with you. But I'm actually seeing something that would disadvantage you further. But like, somebody may be taking advantage of that. So that's also just something to be mindful of here too. Because your guides are saying that if you're in this mindset where you're seeing yourself as like desperate and disadvantaged, you may buy into this because you're going to see it as something that it actually isn't, and you're going to miss this person's agenda here with you for extending this to you. And what would be at play here energetically. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody promise you something that looks nice, but I'm definitely getting this. There's an ulterior motive here, for sure. There's an ulterior motive. I wouldn't grab onto something that is going to dig you into a further hole, because that's what I'm seeing be the potential here. As I said before, if you're seeing yourself as desperate of, I can't be in this position, like I won't accept this, and seeing yourself as like very helpless, you have somebody coming along being like, oh, I'll lead you out. But I'm seeing there definitely be an agenda here, and they're meaning to maybe make something be alleviated immediately, and it's only going to long term dig you into a deeper hole. But this is only because you're perceiving yourself in this energy and not letting go of this attachment to whatever this is that you're holding on to. And this energy is going to take advantage of that. So this definitely feels like your guide's saying to be mindful of this, of the way that you're framing yourself in your position, how you're perceiving yourself, because something may appeal to you that's actually not going to be aligned with what you're trying to experience here. And it's going to make the position that you're in now, like you think this is not good, or this is like unpreferable, and you're about to take something that's going to set you back like 10 more steps, but you may not see it because it's like immediately it's going to seem like it's better, and then it pushes you all the way back. And you would have a feeling about this too. Because think about it, if you were in a spot where you weren't like this and you were like, no, I have faith, like things are going to work out, and you weren't perceiving yourself as being desperate, this thing would not appeal to you. You would only take this out of desperation, and that's how you know it's out of alignment, because that's the type of thing it's going to manifest for you within your life. You would be like basically creating a contract with that sort of energy. But there may be something really difficult that you need to let go of here in order for this to be reconciled. This definitely has to do with a dynamic of yours for sure, but I'm seeing somebody's not thinking of you here, and they're trying to offer you a deal that would just plunge you further into a deeper hole. So just be mindful of what's motivating you here, because I'm seeing that if this is a mental thing, if you can take yourself out of this spot, this thing is not going to appeal to you, because you're not going to perceive yourself as desperate and having no other choice than to take this. But if you do, because let's say it like this, if you were empowered and this offer were coming through, you wouldn't look at it twice. You'd be like, no, that's not even on the table. But if you see yourself, perceive yourself, if you're framing yourself in this desperate position, you'll think about it and you may take it, and you're going to be worse off for it. Just like point blank, that's what I'm seeing. So be mindful again of what's motivating you, because this is the biggest thing here. If you are going to take this offer and take this offer opportunity, open this door with this person, do this, and you are motivated by fear, which can look like many other things, so you really want to look at it and ask yourself what's motivating you. If you take something on and you're being motivated by fear, like that's your motivation for doing this, for going towards this door that's being opened for you, you are going to manifest a further situation where that's going to get deeper, and you're going to have to climb out even further than even where you are right now. Because this is something that's going to push you further into the illusion and distract you. Okay, so I'm seeing a really big change that's being looked at, that's being analyzed, having to do with like a marriage or a relationship or a commitment of yours. I'm seeing you move directly into a collaboration where things are not working and there's a lot of clashing, and somebody tries to give you an opportunity, but they're trying to take advantage of the fact that there's clashing and it's not working. It kind of feels like somebody purposely not allowing something to work, and then be like, if you want it to work, take this opportunity, like that. Like it's that sort of energy, you know? It's like there's nothing wrong with the car, and then somebody messes with it when you're not looking, and then you're like, oh no, the car's broken, and they're like, oh, I'll give you a really good deal, I know how to fix it. It's like that sort of thing where like they're the ones messing with it in the first place, and then are going to take advantage of the fact that there's a problem, and because you're like, oh no, there's a problem, they're going to take advantage of that, because like to you, you may think that they're giving you some sort of deal, but it's only because you feel desperate. Again, like this comes back to how you're seeing yourself and how you may be limiting yourself. Because if you're empowering yourself within this situation, you're not going to buy into this. So don't take an opportunity out of fear unless you want to, and then that's okay also, but you're going to experience like more of what you may not prefer to experience by doing that. But there's no like right or wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying what's going to happen if you're motivated by this versus motivated by that within this choice. Okay? Yeah, I'm also seeing like something more solid is going to be coming along for you too. that will be more reputable is what I'm hearing. And that will be a very clear green light. Okay? I'm getting this be just your guides like watching out for you, because you may not have been like completely recognizing what you were reading. Okay? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. I'm hearing Taurus very strongly. I'm also looking at Scorpio and Capricorn and Pluto and Gemini on the bottom of the deck. All right, we're going to leave the reading here. Thank you for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.